provided as time permits. To ask a question, simply click the raise hand feature and remain muted until you've been introduced. There you go. Serving as host for today's call will be Lynn Thompson, Strategic Advisor for the Mideastern Athletic Conference. Lynn, thank you for joining us this morning, and without further ado, over to you.
Thank you so much, Elise, and good morning. Welcome, coaches and media, to our weekly look into MEAC football. This morning, we'll recap week 2 of the 2025 football season with our head coaches, and we'll also get a sneak peek ahead at this week's matchups as we continue our out-of-conference play. First up today is the head coach of the Howard University Bison, Larry Scott. Good morning to you, Coach Scott.
Good morning, Lynn. How's everybody doing?
Doing good this morning, Coach. And this past Saturday, you faced a very tough Temple squad, falling 55-7 in the out-of-conference matchup. You had a couple of days to review video and to reflect. After taking a look at the performance of the team, how would you evaluate it against the Owls?
Obviously, a very rough outing for us this week. I thought, we came out with some good energy. As you reflect, like you kind of said, and we go back to the week of preparation, I think we spent way too much time kind of in a fog, getting back at, 4 o'clock in the morning from the Miami game down against FAMU. And I think we just didn't snap back to it quick enough. I think it was about in the middle of the week to end of the week where we finally started locking in and having the type of practices that we wanted. So I felt like the week of preparation was a little slow. And therefore kind of reflected in some of the way that we came out in that game. And so, obviously disappointed in the outcome, but a lot comes from that experience, a lot about the routine of preparation, and a lot about some things that were exposed in the play that we can definitely improve upon to get better. The biggest piece, though, Lynn, is just our preparation and ability to snap back as quick as we need to get back to the drawing board each and every week. So a lot of learning experience to draw from right there. But obviously the results are not what we want. So now is just put that one behind us and keep moving and keep our eyes forward.
As you prepare for this week's matchup against Morehouse, you're going back up to the New York City Football Classic. What adjustments will you have to make? And most importantly, how will the Bison really forget about what happened this past Saturday and look ahead to this matchup against Morehouse?
Just that we went back to work yesterday right away, kind of watched the film and pulled from it what we needed to do to improve as far as that goes. But it's the biggest piece for us right now is about refining our week. Obviously, we're in a unique situation with class schedules and all of those type of things. So refining our schedule, being very unique in our preparation and how we proceed and getting ready each and every week and refining that. So you take from that what you need to, and then you focus on the things that we need to do to improve as a football team. It's not as much about our next opponent or who we play this week. I think the gravity of that and the two brands coming together in New York City will speak for itself. And in that regard, our concern is going up here and playing better football, much improved football. And the way that we do that is attacking the day-by-day process leading up into that game and staying focused on what it is. It's still a football game, and we need to go play our best football.
Big-time football in the Big Apple, Coach. Thanks so much. Hold on. Elise is going to take it from here with the media.
All right. Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you, Lynn. As a reminder to the media, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced. Also, please limit your questions to one question for Coach Scott. Our first questions for Coach Scott comes from James Hill.
Good morning, Coach. I hope you and everybody in Washington are well. When you think about Howard University football, talk about the opportunity to change a young man's life. He gets an education. He plays football at a high level. I remember years ago covering a basketball game, and I was sitting next to a coach from, I'll just say it, from Notre Dame, and he talked about how this recruit, they could change this young man's life if he decided to go in that direction. But talk about Howard and the Mecca and why this can be a beautiful thing. And it's proven to be a beautiful thing for young student athletes over the years.
Yeah, I mean, the brand speaks for itself. Obviously, it's synonymous with excellence in a lot of regards. And that's the thing that makes Howard really special. There's not one thing that you have to kind of pigeonhole yourself into, whether it's law, whether it's the School of Business, whether it's the School of medicine, whether it's just, you come here for, sports and entertainment, academic, you can do whatever you want to here. And you don't have to feel pigeonholed to do anything that you want to do. And that's the great thing about it, I think, is you put yourself into an environment like this as young Black people. That's the one thing you don't want to feel is hampered. And coming to a place like this, you don't want to feel that. You want to feel like whatever it is that I choose to do and commit myself to, I can do. And Howard gives you that opportunity. So it's the same thing for regards to our athletes. But that gets a chance to excel at both. And that's what gives you a unique situation, Division I football program or basketball program or softball program or track program. And you're getting top tier world-class education. So the combination of both obviously gives you a chance to, be successful at whatever you choose to be successful. And if you can complete the rigors of what the challenge is going to be presented to you by Howard, you'll be ready. You'll be ready for whatever it is that life's going to throw you. So it's a great place to have both and not feel pigeonholed and be able to do things at a high level in anything you choose to do.
Thank you, Coach. Have a blessed week. Good luck against Morehouse.
Thank you.
Our next question for Coach Scott comes from Dwayne Nash.
Good morning, Coach. Dwayne Nash from the Yard, HBCU Sports and Hero Sports. How are you this morning?
Dwayne, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. You just said a little bit earlier that, games like this is more of a learning experience for you guys. How do you make sure that this type of loss doesn't hurt the confidence of your quarterback who doesn't happen to have a lot of experience on the collegiate level?
Dwayne, that's a good question. I would hope that we've done a good job here of helping guys and people understand process, right? And just because you have one bad outing doesn't mean that it's the predictor of what will come with the next one. It's about gradual and weekly improvement. Obviously, it's about diagnosis, right? We're going to take a look at what we need to improve, and those are the things that we're going to attack as we continue to move forward. So it's about keeping your eyes forward. You quickly reflect on the things that you need to address and fix, and you keep pressing forward. One game, one bad outing, one bad test grade, all of those things don't predict the future. And it's about teaching young men the process of going through the ups and downs, the ebb and flows of not just sports, but life in general. So at the end of the day, I would hope that we're teaching them to be a little bit more resilient and persevere a little bit more than that, to feel like, because of the results of one game, that's the predictor of what's going to happen in the next one and on into the future. So that's not just a football lesson, that's a life lesson. And that's what we try to do around here, is make sure that some of the things that we're teaching and talking about are applicable to not just the game, but to them as they move forward in life, as they choose to, be husbands, be fathers, and all of those different things. So hopefully that's something that's a life lesson that will carry on far beyond just football.
Thanks so much, Coach. Good luck in New Jersey this week.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Dwayne.
Our next question for Coach Scott comes from Wayne Cartwright.
Hey, Coach Scott, Wayne Cartwright, the Ride with Wild Wayne Cartwright. So you guys have scored just 17 points on this season in 2 games. Starting this week against Morehouse, what are some of the things in specific that you guys need to do to get that offense rolling?
Execute, simply. Block, tackle, catch, protect, strain on blocks, finish blocks. Can't have some of the mental assignments that we're having with our youth, and keep pushing and developing our youth to start peaking and playing football at the right time. So it's just about the gradual process of eliminating those mistakes and executing kind of routine things routinely and doing it at a high level. So at the end of the day, that's all that it is. It's just to keep putting one foot in front of the other, keep attacking what you need to improve on, and keep getting better. We played against 2 pretty good football teams too as well. It's not like, we're going out and we're playing against guys that don't have good schemes or not well coached and not well disciplined, to play a top FCS team in FAMU down in Miami, who's known to be, pretty stiff on defense and do a good job there. And then the scheme we just faced is as multiple and as good and well schemed and disciplined as we're probably going to see all year with the NFL acumen and those type of things that scheme came with. It was a lot thrown at a young group that a lot to learn from. And so, we take from it the experience that we want. We take all the good stuff out of it and make sure we're teaching our young men what they need to do to learn and progress through this thing. So I'm excited about what we were able to take from that to learn from to keep the interest high, and to keep these guys engaged at a level in which they understand the sense of urgency that we have to get better at. And that started yesterday in yesterday's practice.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Good luck this week against Morehouse.
Thank you.
And our next question for Coach Scott comes from Nathaniel Henry Jr.
Good morning, Coach. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Nate. How are you?
Great. Nathaniel Henry, Howard Sports Media. Coach, Morehouse, it's a game that has drew over 35,000 people over the last several years. What does it mean to play Morehouse College in MetLife Stadium?
No, obviously it's big for the culture, right? You got two powerful brands, academic brands, cultural brands, everything that, brings greatness and excellence together in those two names, collide in New York City. And so to play in another NFL venue for us, this will be our, third NFL venue, in a row. So the experience for the young men are continuing to grow and expand. And to have these two brands in New York City, we've seen what that looks like before in the past 2 years that we've been there. So definitely exciting to actually go into an NFL venue that's not, completely empty. It's a good environment. It's charged. It's got a lot of energy, and who's who sometimes are in the stadium and all those type of things. But our focus will be on playing good football. The brands and the experience for everyone will take care of itself. But our object is to get better, and go and play the best football that
schedule. So you look at our non-conference schedule this year.
To you for our next interview.
Thank you so much, Elise. Let's go to Dover, Delaware, where on Saturday, thunder and lightning was all in the area, but it was on the field as well. Congratulations, Coach Jackson, on your very first collegiate head coaching win. You ought to get 2 W's because you won on the field and you beat the weather delay as well. So welcome to the show. And let's talk about it, Coach. You had a great 37-32 win over Albany. How did you and the Hornets do it?
We fought, man. That was an everlasting game, one of the longest games I've ever been a part of. It just speaks to the resiliency, man, and the mindset that this coach and this team has, been asked to step up with and play with during the time it's been since I've been here in January. Like I told them yesterday in the team meeting, man, I tip my hat off to those guys because, in those circumstances and those conditions, man, you never know how you can, stay engaged, right? We had one postponed. It was 30 minutes, and then we got another. We had to go in for the locker room for at least 3 hours, right? So it just, like I said, it just speaks to their mindset and what we're being asked to do right now.
Well, Coach, like I said, one victory for the game and one for the weather delay, but now you got to strap it up again because you got a very tough opponent coming in Bowie State out of the CIAA. What are you expecting from this coming matchup?
Man, every week we play, man, we respect our opponents. My philosophy has never been about the opponent; it's been about ourselves. So going into it, we'll watch film, we'll see what they do well. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to the things we do well, right? So they're a tough team, very physical. They do some great things as well too. They play together. They have a good culture. So we're excited about the opportunity. We have another home game here in Dover, so it was a great outcome last week. We had our fans come out, schools rallying behind us. So it's going to be a tough, hostile environment, and we just look forward to keep building that here at home.
Well, we certainly hope you can keep it going and that you can get that tremendous support that you've been asking for and receiving thus far. Hold on just for a second, Elise. Here you go with some media questions for Coach Jackson.
Thank you, Lynn. As a reminder to the media, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced. Also, please limit your questions for Coach Jackson to just one. Our first questions for Coach Jackson come from Wayne Cartwright.
Hey, Coach Jackson, Wayne Cartwright, the Ride with Wild Wayne Cartwright. You've been in close games as a player, and at 32-31 with a minute and a half remaining, fill us in, Coach. What were the emotions like? What was the heart rate like? Tell us about how that was, man, from the coaching perspective.
Yeah, I mean, being in the midst of that game, man, when I tell you it was a lot of ups and down roller coaster emotions, being on the sideline and just watching the effort of our guys, they got out early on the 7-0 big time play on the second play of the game. And we just kind of weathered the storm. Then we end up going for it on fourth down, fumbled the ball. They had the ball inside their, our 40-yard line. It's just a glimpse of that game. When I tell you it was roller coaster, it was crazy, but I really credit the team, their morale, their mindset, because they never gave up. Being down in that game, we actually went up 31-20. In the fourth quarter, they came back. I think it was like 8 minutes left in the game. They came back and then they scored back-to-back touchdowns. Now we'll correct that. We'll tighten up that. But in order to win football games, man, like I keep talking about it, we cannot shoot ourselves in the foot. And right now, we're shooting ourselves in the foot in those areas. I preach discipline all the time. I preach executing your job all the time, right? And I just got to do a better job of reiterating that to the guys. But I feel like my message is clear. You know, I'm telling my team, in order for us to win games and have a chance, we can't keep affording to shoot ourselves in the foot like that, right? So we'll clean that up. We'll do a better job. It was some calls that I questioned. At the end of the day, as a head coach, you have to, because you see calls being called, and sometimes they have nothing to do with the play, right? So, I tried to keep talking to the refs and, say, man, can you help me understand? I don't want to question your call. I'm going to respect your call, but just help me understand. So, week in and week out, hopefully we continue to do a better job in doing everything we can so we're in compliance with the referees.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time. Best of luck this weekend.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Our next question for Coach Jackson comes from Dwayne Nash.
Good morning, Coach. Dwayne Nash from the Yard, HBCU Sports and Hero Sports. How are you this morning?
Hey, I'm blessed in yourself, brother.
Well, I'm doing pretty good. Now, I don't want to fast forward too far beyond your first win, but I do want to address the future a little bit. Your running back, Sean Weston, freshman out of Inglewood, got 10 carries in his first appearance this past weekend against Albany. I have to ask, how were you capable of recruiting him to come from Inglewood to Dover? And will you be going back to your home state to try to recruit more players to come play in the MEAC in the future?
Definitely. Yeah, yes, sir. Man, Deuce, we call him Deuce Weston, Sean Weston Jr. Man, I've been knowing that youngster since he's been, man, roughly 8 to 10 years old. His father actually coaches on our coaching staff. He's our DB coach, Sean Weston Sr. Man, Deuce just had a heck of a game. He had an opportunity. His numbers was called. We had a few scenarios where a few older guys, wasn't playing in his game, and it was a last minute decision. But just going back a little bit, man, our running back room is very special, and we've been knowing that all year long, all spring long, all summer long, and the they're going to have to step up and play big.
All right. Thanks so much, Coach. Good luck this week against Bowie.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Our next question for Coach Jackson comes from Andy Walter.
Hey, Coach. How are you?
Hey, I'm blessed. How you doing, man?
All right. Hey, on that punt late in the game, was that a called fake? And what was the thinking there on that play?
No, sir. That was not a called fake. I think earlier in the game, and we had a talk with our punter Dyson Roberts about that scenario, because I think the world thinks that was a play called fake, and that wasn't the scenario. Like I say, we wind back earlier in the game. It was a punt where it was kind of a little to the snap was a little to the right, and in his mind he said he thought he could run, but we don't have that in our plays. And we don't have that as a call, right? So he took that up on himself to make that decision, and that was a bonehead decision he made that could have cost us the game. And we talked to him about that as well. And Dyson is a player that we look at as a leader, and he's better than that. He won't make those mistakes again. So moving forward, he can't put us in a predicament like that to hurt us in that game, because to go for it on 4th and 10 inside our own 30-yard line is terrible.
Thanks.
Sir.
Our next question for Coach Jackson comes from Luke Williams.
Good morning, Coach. Congratulations on your first win. A little bit about your quarterback, Caden Bennett, about how you got him and how he's played so far.
Well, how we got him, man. So he was a scenario where he needed a waiver to get his extra year back. He played last year at Sacramento State. He ended up they beat Stanford in the game that he started in, and he had an injury that he ended up not playing anymore, right? So he had to go through the process. A mutual friend of mine actually knew him, and kind of put me on to him early in this process, and I kind of just awaited the situation, and then once he was granted his waiver by the NCAA. I was pressing him like quick ASAP, to get him here and get him locked in. The mutual friend of mine that I had that knows him is a great friend of mine as well too, and it kind of made it all happen for us. So happy to have a guy like that, man. He's a heck of a player. He's proven that he can play at a high level. He's played FBS ball as well too. Not FBS ball, but he beat an FBS ball team. Obviously coming from Sac State. They play a lot of FBS teams. So his pedigree, man, he's a winner. His mentality is resilience. And at any given time, man, he's gonna take it in his hands to make a play for us to win the football game. And as you saw this past Saturday, what he's capable of doing.
Good luck against Bowie, Coach.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That concludes all of our media questions for Coach Jackson. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Okay, you guys have a blessed day.
Delaware State hosts Bowie State on Saturday, September 13th at Alumni Stadium in Dover, Delaware. Kickoff is set for 3 p.m., broadcasting on ESPN+. Lynn, over to you for our next interview. Muted there, Lynn.
There it is. There it is. Okay, let's take it to Norfolk, Virginia. The head coach, Michael Vick. Good morning to you.
Hey, good morning. How y'all doing?
Good. Coach, can you imagine this? Your very first conference win, a truly unforgettable one in thrilling fashion over a rival at home. Let's talk about it. 34-31 in overtime. Let's talk about the performance, the energy in Dick Price Stadium, the rivalry, everything, and your team's performance.
Yes. Yeah, I tell you what, it took 5 quarters to win the game. We came out, started out slow. Felt like we put them in a position to make some plays, and then we made a play, and then they made a play, and then we didn't make a play, and they kept making plays. And I'm proud of the guys for just hanging in there and just keep continuing to believe and know that we stress this a 4-quarter game, and so just wanted to make sure they was just in tune with the game plan, in tune with what had to happen, and they were certainly mentally and physically prepared for the challenge when it came down.
To the media, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced. Also, please limit your question to 1 for Coach Vick. Our first question for Coach Vick comes from Wayne Cartwright.
Hey, Coach Vick, Wayne Cartwright, the Ride with Wild Wayne Cartwright. You guys overcame so much. I know it was 46-yard field goal that was within a yard from being good. There was a lot that you guys overcame. But what I specifically want to know is the play that Virginia State scored a touchdown on when they handed the ball off to the receiver, and he turned around and threw it back to the quarterback. It was said live that they didn't think that was a legal play.
Yeah.
Was that really a legal play? And did you question it? And just what all went into that, man? That looked weird.
Yeah, it was weird, and we was kind of calling it out from the sideline. But hey, what can you do in that situation? It's not our job to referee the game. We depend on those guys to make the right calls at the right times, and so that's I know it's stipulations to talking about that, and so I'll just say that everybody has a job to do on game day, and let's just hope that it gets done, not just for us but for all the teams that's competing. And we know those it's not going to be perfect all the time. So I acknowledge that, and we just had to. It was something we had to play through. It happened at a point in the game where we needed to get off the field, but the guys kept pushing and kept fighting and didn't make excuses, and we just kind of we had to keep coaching hard and keep pushing them hard. And so while they out there living it, it's some things are out of their control. And so we just leave it at that. But I'm glad we was able to overcome that. And, we just never know if a situation like that going to rise, down the road. We just want to be as resilient as we can be, know that things are going to happen. And, it's not, what happens in the moment, is how you react to it.
Well, thanks, Coach. Congrats on your first win again. And good luck on that road trip up there at Rutgers and Greg Schiano.
Thanks.
Our next question for Coach Vic comes from Dr. Kenyatta Cavill.
Kenyatta Cavill, Dr. Cavill is inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach Vic.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing well. So many chunk plays in that. Big plays, both sides of the ball, and defensive as well. Talk about the emotional roller coaster that you go as a head coach in a game like that, but needing to steady the ship and keeping focus and not having maybe the emotional plays that fans and even your players have in a game like that.
Yeah, well, in football games, you're going to give up big plays, but it's all about how you overcome it. And certainly you want to limit the big plays. And at some point it's going to catch up with you. So we try to focus on that, as of right now. How do we eliminate that? I think it's for the players to go back and watch it and the mistakes that was made, things they could do better. It's about getting better the next week. And so trusting that process. But, outside of that, we make it a much tighter football game. And, still, you just got to make everybody work for everything they're going to get for every blade of grass. And that'll never change in the game of football. And so it's for us as well. So, we try to put, our guys in the most difficult situations to be ready for situations like that. And so, we'll just keep playing hard, man, and just keep doing what we got to do, man. But, they made their share of big plays and we made ours. And so, as long as you're matching it, it's all good until it's not.
Certainly. And congratulations to you, the staff, and your players on the big win.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Our next question for Coach Vic comes from James Hill.
Good morning, Coach Vic. How you doing, sir? Congratulations.
How you doing? Good morning. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Talk a little bit about, you've been able to come in here, flip the script, so to speak, on a program. You came home, you
ready to go 4 quarters and be ready to go toe to toe with anybody, whether we got to come from behind or we got to protect the lead. And so, every game is going to be different. We acknowledge that, and we just try to prepare for every situation. So I'm gonna just continue to challenge them to, put a, be at their best when their best is required, and do all the right things. And the little things is going to, help them at times like that, in the 5th quarter.
good luck in week 3, Coach.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Our next question for Coach Vic comes from Ty Miller.
Hey, Coach Vic.
How you doing, Ty?
Got a question about the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. They were very good offense with a lot of weapons, but two guys jump out on the tape. Kelly McManus, the quarterback, and the big wide receiver, Ian Strong. What are your impressions of them?
Yeah, I think they got a good football team. Ultimately those guys, we got to challenge them and got to make them work for everything, just like they're gonna make us work for it. And so, we're accepting the challenge, but it's up to us to try to put together the best plan to try to negate what they do best. And so, we'll study them, we'll watch them, and then we'll try to put a plan together that's going to allow us to be competitive, be super competitive. And so we're not going to treat them any different than we treat anybody else. It's anybody's ball game when the ball is snapped. And so we'll get our chances and opportunities just like they'll get theirs. And so it's, we gotta make the most of it.
All right, thanks.
Our next question for Coach Vic comes from Daryl Duvall.
Good morning, Coach. I was trying to put my video is not working. So anyway, first of all, good morning.
Morning.
How you doing today?
You go.
So, Coach, first of all, congratulations on your win. This is Daryl Duvall from Powering You Sports. Hey, I just want to ask you, Coach, about as you continue building the program, what progress do you see from week 1 to week 2?
I seen more work ethic. I seen more confidence. I seen our guys asking questions and trying to figure out what they could have did better. How did we lose the game in week 1? And so when you got the guys who are that concerned, who want to know why, the reasons why, asking the right questions, then that's something that you can build off. And I think those guys are actually too confident coming into this game. They made some great plays early in the game. Once again, 16 penalties. To be able to overcome that, says a lot. And so, those guys, we're just going to continue to keep working hard, continue to, build on our structure and control the things that we can control and not try to get too far ahead of ourselves. Just take it one day at a time, one snap at a time.
Well, I will say you're doing a real good job with bringing enthusiastics to this program, and good luck for this weekend, Coach.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We're trying.
Our next question for Coach Vic comes from Stephen Gaither.
I'm doing good. How about you? Yeah, we haven't made a decision as of yet. We still got till tomorrow to decide, but we want to just go back and evaluate everything, watch the film, sit down with both of the quarterbacks and talk it through. And got to do what's best for the team and what makes the most sense right now. And just trying to get a feel for where they at with everything from a comfort level standpoint. And so, going into the third game of the season, this is where you start to try to create an identity for the team. And I think it's important right now for our guys to know what direction we're going in and, the structure we're trying to create. So, we got to evaluate that. It's a good problem to have. And so I'm going to make sure we collectively try to make the best decision possible. Thank you.
Our next question for Coach Vic comes from Brandon King.
Good morning, Coach Vic. How you doing?
Good, Brandon. Good morning.
Brandon King with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab and SneakerShopTalk.com. You touched on it. First of all, let me back up. I'd be remiss if I didn't congratulate you on notching your first win. So congratulations.
Yeah, we definitely want to stress that. You can't play the game going backwards. And so that's what I told him. We can't play going backwards. I haven't seen a team ever have a successful season playing the game going backwards. And so it's all about progressing it forward. That's the name of the game. We gotta be more disciplined. We gotta hop on the discipline more. We gotta hop on the details more. And ultimately they gotta trust their technique. The interception return that was negated by a personal foul. I was hit or miss. The quarterback was scrambling in the pocket. He just happened to get hit when he was releasing the ball. And so, some of them you may question. Some of them, are just like bonehead penalties. Like, that you could have avoided that. Or, it's hard to ask them that in the moment, but some things, is in our control and some is out of our control. And so I'm gonna put the onus on them. I'm challenging them to grow up and grow up fast because we're not gonna win too many games, with the same pattern over and over again. And so that's 2 weeks back to back. We was able to overcome them 2 weeks back to back. Last week, but even in the first game. But it's not gonna always be that way. Some good teams we playing and good opponents, and they're gonna take advantage of it. So we got to fix it real quick.
Thanks for that insight, Coach, and good luck this weekend as we move forward throughout the season.
Thank you.
And our next question for Coach Vic comes from Lute Williams.
Hey, Coach, congratulations on the big win. I was going to ask you the Kuhn Carter question, but Steve Gaither took that question. So I got another one for you. I don't know if you know this, but Norfolk State used to be the perennial, when they were in Division II, they were the perennial attendance leader in Division II, almost similar to what Jackson State has done in 1AA football and has continued in FCS football. And over the last 2 weeks, I think 19,000 the first week, 22,000 this week. Talk about the support that you've seen, what it's ignited in terms of the area, and how's it affected you and your team?
Yeah, it's great to have a packed house. It's great playing with a crowd. Obviously we want them to be louder, and to be as loud as they can be. But this is kind of new for everybody. We appreciate it. I know the players appreciate it, and now they got a lot to play for, and so it gives them some. All pretty much say the same thing, but it's just being as prepared as you can be, watching film, and trying to be, proactive and not reactive. And we just want to go into this game against a good school and be competitive Like, they're gonna feel like we shouldn't be on the field with them, and we're gonna feel like they shouldn't be on the field with us. And so, it's just the attitude and the mindset you bring to the game. And I don't care who you play or where you play them or how you play them. You go play. and you leave it all out in the field. And as long as you play confident, believe in yourself, good things are happening. So we learned that last week, and we just gonna keep building on that. But not gonna give them all the credit in the world. They got to lace them up just like us.
All right. Thanks so much, Coach. And once again, congratulations on your first victory this past weekend.
Thank you.
That concludes all of our media questions for Coach Vic at this time. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Norfolk State will travel to play Rutgers on Saturday, September 13th at SHI Stadium in Piscataway, New Jersey. Kickoff is set for 3:30 p.m., airing on the Big Ten Network. Lynn, back over to you for our next interview.
Thanks so much, Elise. We're going now to Orangeburg, South Carolina. I see Chennis Berry there. Good morning to you, Coach Berry. How you doing?
Good morning, sir. How you doing today?
Doing good, doing good. You played an in-state rival that just happened to be in the top 10 in the FBS polls, Coach. And the Bulldogs went up against South Carolina, the Gamecocks, and you even struck first on the scoreboard. Played a very good football team and a good performance from our standpoint. Let's hear about you. What do you think about the Bulldogs and how you did against the top 10 program?
First of all, what an unbelievable experience, man. Our guys had to show resilience at the beginning before the ball even kicked off because, obviously, as everybody knows, it's a sold-out venue and what a great atmosphere over there. But we had a 2-hour and 17-minute rain delay, so we never got a chance to get out there, man. But, I was super proud of our young men and how they played. I mean, they played really, really good football, inspired football. Built a lot of confidence as we go the rest of the season. Obviously, we fell short. The mission doesn't change for us, as you see on my chest, is to go 1-0. That's our philosophy. That's what we're all about. Didn't get it done, but we played against a really good football team. And, for the most part, our guys played really well, really for 60 minutes. It really wasn't as you watch the game, if you really, really looked at it, I thought our guys competed throughout, offensively, defensively. Obviously, it came back to the game change when we had a couple of blunders on the special team in the kicking unit. So, all is well. We've addressed it. It wasn't particularly the scheme because we fixed the scheme from the prior week. It was more so just executing and getting guys on the ground. So they got guys on scholarship too, but we just didn't make our play when we had an opportunity to make our play. But great game, great environment, proud of our young men, proud of our coaches.
Okay, you close the book on that one and return home to Orangeburg this week to host a longtime rival and a former MEAC foe in what now boasts to be a MEAC SWAC matchup in Bethune-Cookman. What will the Bulldogs area focus in preparing for the Wildcats be this week as you seek to go 1-0 this coming week?
Well, just like you said, man, the old MEAC rival, man. At the end of the day, been some battles with South Carolina State and Bethune-Cookman over the years. But, right now we're just focusing on us, man. Coach Woody's going to have his team ready to go. They suffered 2 tough losses against 2 really good programs. They lost to FIU first game of the season, and then they
Please limit your questions to just one. Our first questions for Coach Berry come from Dwayne Nash.
I'm sorry, Coach. I didn't have a question. I didn't lower my hand from my previous question from Norfolk State. My apologies.
Thank you.
All right. Our first question for Coach Berry comes from James Hill.
Hey, Coach, I hope you and everybody in Bulldogs Nation are well. How you doing, sir?
I'm outstanding, man. How you doing today?
I'm blessed. Talk a little bit about your quarterbacks, Mr. Atkins as well as Mr. Stubblefield. They both had an opportunity to play against Carolina. What did you see out of those 2 gentlemen as you move forward heading into your game at home against Bethune?
they both did really good things. They moved our offense, and that's ultimately what we want to do. When you get a chance to face a SEC defense, you got to be ready to rock and roll. But I thought they did a really good job of managing. When you talking about, we spread the ball around to 10 different receivers. Just taking what the defense gives us, and the things that they did give us, we took advantage of it. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm proud of how they're moving our offense. They're doing some good things, and they provide a spark. When we bring Ryan into the game, Ryan comes in and he normally does a really good job. So we're going to continue to use that formula the first couple games of the season, and eventually we'll just settle on one guy. But I think early on in the year, especially before we get into MEAC play, we're going to find out, and the cream's going to rise to the top.
Good luck this week against Bethune-Cookman, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Our next question for Coach Berry comes from Dr. Kenyatta Cavill.
This is Kenyatta Cavill. Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach Berry.
Dr. Cavill, how you doing this morning? Doing all right?
Doing well. I like the way that you have the setup there. It's pretty unique and nice. Good job with your production people over there. I know you had a touch in that. But back to the football question, I had a theme that I've kind of been going over a little bit this morning about teaching and the efficiency part of the game. And so even though you play the SEC program, obviously top 25, there are a lot of ways that you look at the film. If you would share us a little bit about in terms of how you go about coaching the efficiency techniques in terms of breaking down film and how you will translate that in terms of moving forward in this next matchup and beyond.
Well, when you're watching opponents, and when we went into this game, it's all about teaching. I tell our coaches all the time, we're teachers probably more so than, we use the term coach, but we're teacher Barry or teacher O'Daffer, because we're teachers and providing visual aids for young men to give them a chance to think that they're going to have success. So we painted pictures throughout the week, of what we thought would be good versus University of South Carolina. And I think for the most part, if you really look at it, man, we played really well. So, sometimes they want to see NFL clips. They want to see clips that people have success versus the opponent that we're getting ready to face. So it's more of teaching mechanisms that we use. But, I tell our guys all the time, our coaches, listen, guys, we're in a raising young men. They're impressionable young age. They watch everything we say, how we dress, how we speak, how we interact, our energy and our belief. When you're playing against a top 10 team in the country, you can't go in as a coach and be lackadaisical with your presentation. You have to come in with some fire and some energy and getting guys to believe. Half the battle is getting them to believe. You're already facing so many different challenges when you go against a top tier in the country football program. So first thing you got to do is get the young men that are entrusted within your leadership to believe. And I think our guys believe from the time we went on the field from all that week and then to the time we left for 60 minutes, they really believed and truly felt like we had a chance to win the football game pretty much the whole game. So it starts with winning between the ears, man. You got to win the mindset. I'm a mindset guy. So, I try to get our young men locked in on the mindset, and our young men are definitely follow my leadership. I have to lead from the front, right? I can't be lukewarm with my enthusiasm, man. I got to come with some drive and some vigor to get our young men to believe that they can go out and find a way to win a football game.
I'm with you, Coach. Makes sense, and use that as a tactic myself. Continue to build, and good luck this weekend. Look forward to the matchup, Coach.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Our next question for Coach Berry comes from Chris Stevens.
Good morning, Coach. Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports. How you doing?
Mr. Stevens, always good to see you, brother.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to kind of expound on Dr. Cavill's question and ask this. Is there a difference in how you evaluate a team, how you evaluate your team, after you've played, as you say, a top 10 team in the country against whether you would be playing Bethune-Cookman or in the previous week, Wofford, or is it just like the same evaluatory process every week? What a guy did well, what a guy didn't do well, what this unit could have improved on, that type of deal.
See, I have a different philosophy. I'm kind of like Nick Saban on this one. When I'm breaking down film, I don't think plays, I think players. And obviously they got players. All right. So I have players as well. I have to find a way to put my players in the best situation. our guys really believed, man, and we went out there and really, really competed for 60 minutes. So I'm super proud of our young men. They believed the whole time. Again, we just fell short against a really good top 10 in the country SEC football program.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time and wisdom as always. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you so much. Take care. God bless.
Our next question for Coach Barry comes from Stephen Gaither.
Mr. Gaither, my guy, how you doing, man? Man, Mr. Gaither, man, it is what it is, man. We understand, at the end of the day, those young men, they see the bells and whistles and the glitz and glamour, and if they get an opportunity to go to those other places, really nothing we can do. But I'm trying to win a football game, man. So, when the game was over, Coach Beamer walked across the field. And, my biggest thing is I want to make sure when I shake that head coach's hand, that we put a good product out there. And the first thing he said to me, first of all, Coach, you have a really, really good football team. And second of all, you're very, very physical. So for an SEC coach to tell me how physical my football team was, that meant a whole lot to me. And then how disciplined we were as well. So, all in all, man, at the end of the day, we're going to put our best product. We're trying to win a football game, Mr. Gaither, man. We're trying to win a ball game. And obviously, if they see some players, and I'm sure they saw some in the garnet and blue, I'm sure they'll poke at them. At the end of the day, I'm going to do my best to keep them. Obviously, I love my players, but at the end of the day, I don't have what they have. And I'm going to do all I can to just love on them the time that I have. Appreciate you. Thank you, man.
Our next question for Coach Barry comes from Luke Williams.
Hey, Coach.
Mr. Williams, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine, Coach. Thanks for asking. What'd you think of Lenore Sellers? For those of us maybe not get a chance to see him, they talk about he's all world, all American, Heisman Trophy. What did you think about him? Because his numbers, I don't know if Coach Beamer was trying to limit what he did, but he only threw the ball 19 times. He only ran it 8 times. What did you think about him?
Lenore Sellers is a really good football player. He's as advertised, no question about it. But I have to give kudos to my defense. To be honest, my defense played lights out, to be honest. For 60 minutes. And, he's still a good football player. He's got great arm talent. He's obviously a challenge to try to get him to the ground. He's 6'3", 250 pounds, man. He runs very, very fast, and he's very, very powerful. But he has a strong arm. At the end of the day, our guys were in position to make plays, and I thought our guys did a good job of that pretty much for 60 minutes. So I want to give kudos to my guys. He's a good player, and he's going to make a lot of plays for the 2025 season. But, them South Carolina State Bulldogs played some ball this past Saturday. I'm super proud of them.
Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you. Take care.
That concludes all of our media questions for Coach Barry at this time. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me. Take care. Go Dogs.
South Carolina State hosts Bethune-Cookman this Saturday, September 13th at Oliver C. Dawson Stadium in Orangeburg, South Carolina. Kickoff is set for 6 p.m., broadcasting on ESPN+. Lynn, over to you for our next interview.
Thank you so much, Elise. Let's go to Baltimore. I see Coach Damon Wilson there with the Bears. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, Lynn. How about yourself?
Doing good, man. You hosted crosstown rival Towson in the Battle of Baltimore, and the game lived up to the hype before the Tigers sneaked out a 27-22 win. Let's talk about the ball game and, in your opinion, the performance of the Bears.
Well, Lynn, we didn't do enough to win. It was first of all, our crowd showed up. First home game, and the stands were packed. It was good to see, and it was a game back and forth. But once again, we had too many turnovers. We had 3 turnovers in the red zone, which eliminated the opportunity to go ahead in the game by a couple scores. And then at the end, we took the lead with 4 minutes left, and they made a play in the last 20 seconds and won the ball game.
That's a tough pill to swallow there, Coach. And now you got to swallow it, though. You got to put that one on the side and look ahead. Coach, you're going to your second FBS opponent of the year so far. You're going to Toledo, a MEAC conference team. Let's talk about this particular ball game, your outlook in terms of this pending matchup and what the Bears plan to do moving forward.
Toledo's a real good football team. You know, their team just coming off a big win. Their team that finished second in the MAC last year. Very good team. I think they picked to win the MAC, if not be, you know, up in the top part of the MAC this year. But we focus on ourselves. At the end of the day, we played 2 FBS opponents in our first, well, it'll be a second FBS opponent in our first 3 games. And at the end of the day, we were in position the first game against a good South Alabama team, had turnovers, had penalties. This past game, we corrected the penalties for the most part, but we still have turnovers. If you look at the Towson game, we outperformed them in every category except turnovers and the scoreboard, which the one that matters the most. So we're going to focus on doing the things that we need to handle to be successful and get ourselves the chance. But Toledo is probably the best ball club we've seen thus far.
Okay, Coach, that's it for me. Hold on just for a second. Elise, I see you got some hands raised here, and you'll take us through it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Lynn. As a reminder to the media, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you've been introduced. Also, please limit your questions to 1 for Coach Wilson. Our first question for Coach Wilson comes from James Hill.
Coach Wilson, I hope you and everybody in Bears Nation are well. Talk about Mr. Collins, 28 carries, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's running downhill. This guy is a player. Talk a little bit about Collins.
A very good football player, and our offensive line has done a good job, you know, making some lanes for him to run. Jason also had a few miscues this past week that we talked about yesterday in film, and we talked about at practice. But Jason Collins he's a good deal. Good deal. You know, he can catch the ball out the backfield, and also he can you know, make his way through traffic. So very fortunate to have him in the program.
Hey, good luck against Toledo this week, sir.
I appreciate you, Jane.
Our next question for Coach Wilson comes from Dr. Kenyatta Cavill.
Kenyatta Cavill, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Coach, you may have heard some of my questions earlier about teaching and efficiency. Obviously, in the game, you were quite efficient from a third down perspective and even on fourth down, going 1 for 1. But you were not as efficient in terms of stopping the other team. They were equally what you were doing, and you see that in terms of score. You basically broke down that the difference in a lot of ways was you having more turnovers that cost you. But from a teaching perspective, as I get to the point here, is head coaching and how you work with your assistants. Talk to me a little bit about your perspective of how you work with young individuals in terms of corrective action, getting better, in terms of understanding the game. Can you take us a little bit inside the locker room or watch film from that perspective? What does that look like for you, Coach Wilson?
Indeed, and I think that's a big part of what we do. You look at first week, we had a number of penalties that we cut those in half. So we had to come up with consequences for the young folks from last week's game, the first game to the Towson game. So understanding that if you jump all sides, if you have a holding or there's an unsportsmanlike, there's consequences outside of the 5 or 10 yard deal that officials may put on you. But we have some within the program as well, and we call them Wilson reminders. And so we handle that on Sunday, and that's the way we address those deals. But now, from a teaching standpoint and turnovers, you're looking at 3 turnovers in the red zone. You know, the first 2 games of the season, I think we have a total of 7 turnovers. And we have to emphasize ball security drill, finishing runs, make sure we cover up in traffic, not making ill-advised passes when we under pressure. So we're simulating certain drills so it could become muscle memory for these guys. But we also talking about the importance of, you know, protecting the football and doing the right things with regards to on the field.
Thank you, Coach, for sharing that.
Yes,
Good luck.
sir.
Look forward to moving.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Doc.
Our next question for Coach Wilson comes from Donald Ware.
Morning, Coach Wilson. How you doing?
I'm good, Donald. How about yourself?
Doing good. Wilson reminders. I love it. That's a good one. When you 2 tough losses, one playing against an FBS opponent, and then this has become a rivalry with the Townsend game since you've been the head coach. Before it wasn't so much. What do you take away from these two games moving forward?
Donovan, we have a good football team, and I want these guys to be rewarded with the W's on Saturday. But all in all, that's something I continue to tell them. Everything we need is in the locker room. We have a very good football team. We do have a very tough, non-conference schedule opening up the year. But so what? We got to focus up and do the things that we take advantage of, things that we have control of. And that's something that we just continue to harp on these guys, man. Believe in yourself, go out and execute at a high level, have fun doing it, we'll live with the outcome. And, we got another very tough opponent coming up this week. Anytime you open up your season with two out of your first three FBS opponents, that's saying something, but that's something that we just signed up for. And we're going to prepare our guys to play a good game on Saturday and to head up Toledo.
Appreciate it, Coach. Good luck.
You got it.
Our next question for Coach Wilson comes from Ty Miller.
Hey, Coach Wilson.
What's going on, Ty?
I want to talk to you about Toledo. They played Kentucky tough, then they come back and sort of blow out Western Kentucky. And the guy that had a great game was that little running back, Chip Trayanum. He had a first down every time he touched the ball. Will you pay special attention to him, or how do you defend a guy who's just so prolific at running like that?
Ty, they got two very good guys coming out the backfield, and the quarterback is not shabby at all. And they have some receivers. So they're a very good football team. I anticipate these guys to be another bowl team at the end of this year. But we're going to focus on make sure we play sound football. Our defense definitely will be challenged.